What happens when the ordinary becomes sacred? When a single morning, indistinguishable from 1,000 others, is written in eternal ink across the heart of heaven. October 21st may have appeared like any other date on the calendar, but in the hidden chambers of divine witness, this day marked something irreversible. The moment your faithfulness was seen, recorded, and honored. While the world measured time in minutes and tasks, heaven measured your heart in commitment, and what was found there changed everything. This is not about religious performance or perfection. This is about the quiet, relentless yes you whispered when no one was watching, the trust you extended when answers refused to come, the offering you made when holding on felt safer than letting go. Today, the divine leaned close and declared over your life, you are 100% committed. There is a peculiar alchemy in the invisible. What the eye cannot see, the soul records. What the crowd overlooks, eternity engraves. In the stillness of this morning, while many scrolled through distractions and rehearsed complaints, you chose a different path. You prayed without applause. You forgave without witnesses. You released what you loved most, not because it was easy, but because you trusted the one who asked. That act, silent and costly, became a thunderclap in the realms beyond this world. Angels paused. The heavens inclined. Your name was spoken with reverence, not as a title, but as a testimony. You did not bargain for outcomes. You did not negotiate terms. You sought the giver, not merely the gifts, and in that seeking, you became something rare, a soul whose roots run deeper than circumstance. If these words are resonating with you, there is a resource I want to share that can quietly support this season of transformation. It is called Prosperity Revealed in 3 Dimensions, a guided path designed to help you align practical action with spiritual clarity and purposeful abundance. Whether you are navigating transitions, seeking deeper meaning, or simply wanting to live with greater intention, this collection offers wisdom you can read in the ebook format or listen to as an audiobook wherever your day takes you. Everything is waiting for you in the pinned comment and in the description below. Take the time that feels right, and now let us return to the heart of what shifts everything. The test you walked through today was never about punishment. It was about recognition. The divine does not test to find out what is hidden. The divine tests to reveal what has already been forged in secret. Think of Abraham standing on the mountain with Isaac, the promise of nations resting in his trembling hands. The request was not cruelty, it was confirmation. Heaven already knew the depth of Abraham's surrender, but Abraham himself needed to know. The altar was not where faith was proven, it was where faith was made visible. In the same way, the trials you have faced, the silence you have endured, the losses you have grieved, these were not signs of divine absence. They were the architecture of divine preparation. You were not being ignored. You were being entrusted with something weightier than comfort, the privilege of faithfulness without guarantee. Every spiritual journey contains seasons that feel like abandonment. Prayers seem to vanish into void. Effort yields no visible harvest. The path narrows until it feels like walking a tightrope in the dark. During these stretches, 2 voices emerge. One whispers that you have been forgotten, that your devotion was wasted, that the divine has moved on to someone more deserving. The other voice, quieter but unshakable, insists that the silence is not emptiness but gestation, that what appears to be delay is actually design, that the seed buried in soil is not dead but transforming. The voice you choose to believe determines the story you live. Today, you chose the second voice. You chose to believe that hiddenness is not rejection but preparation, that the Father who sees in secret is also the Father who rewards in public. That choice, made in the crucible of uncertainty, is what heaven calls commitment. If this perspective is opening something in you, take a moment to subscribe to this channel so you do not miss what comes next. Your presence here is part of a larger conversation, and every step you take toward clarity helps others find their way as well. Commitment is not the same as intensity. Intensity burns bright and fades fast. Commitment is the slow, steady flame that outlasts storms. It is the decision to show up when inspiration has left the room, to pray when the words feel hollow, to give when the account feels empty, to trust when the evidence points elsewhere. The world celebrates bursts of passion, but heaven honors endurance. You have endured, not with clenched fists or rigid control, but with open hands and a surrendered heart. You planted seeds in tears, knowing the harvest might not come in your preferred season. You forgave offenses that were never acknowledged. You walked alone when the crowd dispersed. These acts, invisible to most, were written in permanent ink across the ledgers of eternity. Every tear became a word. Every whispered trust became a sentence. Every silent offering became a chapter. The story being written about you is not one of perfection, but of perseverance. And that story carries more weight than any polished performance ever could. There is a profound mystery in the mathematics of the kingdom. What you sow in private, you reap in public. What you build in obscurity, you inhabit in visibility. What you release in obedience, you receive in abundance. This is not karma or cosmic bargaining. This is the nature of spiritual economy. The divine does not measure success by the size of the platform or the volume of the applause. The divine measures faithfulness by the depth of the root, and roots grow in darkness, unseen, unnoticed, unsung. But when the storm comes, the tree with shallow roots topples, while the tree with deep roots stands. You have been growing roots. October 21st was the day those roots anchored into something unshakable, and what is anchored in heaven cannot be uprooted by earth. Consider the arc of a seed. Buried in soil, it loses its familiar form. It splits, softens, surrenders its shell. To the untrained eye, it looks like death. But beneath the surface, an explosion of life is unfolding. The seed is not dying, it is transforming. The darkness is not its tomb. It is its womb. What emerges from that hidden process is not the seed anymore. It is something greater, a plant, a tree, a source of fruit and shade for generations to come. Your life has felt like that seed. The breaking, the burying, the long stretch of waiting in the dark, these were not signs of ending. They were signs of beginning. And today, the first shoots broke through the surface. Heaven saw, heaven marked it. Heaven declared, this one is ready. Leave a like if this message is touching something deep in you. Your engagement helps this reach others who are walking the same path, and every small gesture of support becomes a ripple of encouragement. The language of heaven is not spoken in words alone. It is spoken in sacrifice, in trust, in the willingness to say yes when everything inside you screams no. Abraham did not argue with the call to Mount Moriah. He rose early, gathered wood, took his son and walked toward the unknown. He did not know the ending. He only knew the voice, and the voice was enough. That same voice has been speaking to you, not in audible tones, but in the quiet prompting of your spirit, in the gentle conviction that refuses to let you settle for less than divine purpose, in the restless longing for something truer than comfort. You have been listening. You have been following. And on this day, October 21st, the voice spoke again, not with a command, but with a commendation. Now I know, not because the divine was uncertain, but because your journey reached a milestone where faith became sight, where potential became proof, where promise became reality. Neuroscience tells us that repetition rewires the brain. When we practice a behavior consistently, neural pathways strengthen, turning effort into automaticity. What once required conscious intention becomes second nature. The same principle applies to spiritual formation. Every time you chose trust over fear, obedience over comfort, gratitude over complaint, you were training your spiritual muscles. You were reshaping the inner landscape, creating pathways of faithfulness that no circumstance can erase. Research suggests that sustained practice, even in the face of doubt, builds resilience that outlasts emotion. You did not wait to feel faithful. You acted faithfully and the feeling followed. That is maturity. That is the mark of someone who understands that faith is not a mood, but a muscle, not a sensation, but a discipline. Heaven noticed every repetition, every small act of alignment, every moment you leaned into the divine, when leaning away would have been easier. Your story has entered a new chapter. Doors that were locked are beginning to respond to your persistence. Opportunities that seemed distant are now conspiring in your favor. Relationships that were strained are softening. Resources that were withheld are starting to flow. This is not coincidence. This is consequence. The consequence of faithfulness is favor, and favor is not preferential treatment. It is the natural result of alignment. When you align with divine purpose, the universe begins to collaborate with your calling. Not because you manipulated outcomes, but because you submitted to the process. Not because you forced doors open, but because you trusted the one who holds the keys. The shift you are feeling is real. It is not wishful thinking or spiritual bypassing. It is the tangible manifestation of seeds sown in secret, now breaking into light. Turn on notifications so you do not miss the next exploration. Each message builds on the last, and the journey we are walking together is just beginning. The story of Abraham does not end at the altar. It begins there. When the knife was raised and the angel called out, the test was complete, but the blessing was just starting. Because Abraham was willing to offer everything, he received everything back, multiplied. Isaac was not taken. He was given again, but this time with the added inheritance of a father who had learned that nothing is withheld from the one who withholds nothing from the divine. The same principle is unfolding in your life. What you release today, you will receive again, but not as it was. You will receive it transformed, upgraded, infused with divine purpose. The relationship that felt like a sacrifice will return as a covenant. The dream that seemed to die will resurrect with new dimensions. The resources you gave away will boomerang back with increase. This is the economy of the kingdom. What you release with trust, you reclaim with testimony. There is a moment in every spiritual journey when the internal shift becomes externally visible. When the private devotion translates into public demonstration. When the hidden altar becomes a public platform. You are standing at that threshold. The pain of the test is about to become the power of the testimony. The loneliness of the offering is about to become the celebration of the harvest. The silence you endured is about to give way to the sound of vindication. Not because you demanded it, but because it is the natural outflow of faithfulness. Heaven does not leave its witnesses unspoken. Heaven does not let commitment go unrewarded. The Father who sees in secret always, without exception, rewards in the open. That promise is not conditional. It is covenantal. And today, on October 21st, the seal was placed on your story. This one is mine, this one is faithful, this one is ready for the next level. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it today. Sometimes a single word at the right moment shifts an entire trajectory. And you might be the messenger heaven is using to reach a heart that is on the verge of giving up. Let us consider the mechanics of spiritual momentum. Momentum is not built in a day. It is built through the accumulation of small, consistent decisions. A single workout does not create a strong body, but a year of consistent workouts does. A single act of kindness does not build a reputation, but a lifetime of kindness does. In the same way, a single prayer does not constitute commitment, but 1,000 prayers whispered in the dark, when no one was listening except the divine, that constitutes a life of faithfulness. You have been building momentum. Day after day, choice after choice, you have been stacking obedience upon obedience, trust upon trust, surrender upon surrender. And today, the momentum you have been building reached critical mass. It tipped from invisible to visible, from potential to kinetic, from promise to manifestation. The world may not have noticed yet, but the shift has already occurred in the realms that matter most. What is established in heaven will, in due time, be revealed on earth. Faithfulness does not mean you never doubted. It means you kept moving forward despite the doubt. It does not mean you never felt afraid. It means you acted with courage, even when fear screamed louder than faith. It does not mean you never questioned. It means you questioned with honesty and then chose trust over cynicism. The divine does not require perfection. The divine requires availability. You made yourself available. You said, "Here I am," even when you did not know where here would lead. You said, "Use me," even when you did not feel ready. You said, "I trust you," even when trust felt like the most irrational choice. That availability, that willingness to be used, that capacity to trust without clarity, these are the qualities heaven searches for. And when heaven finds them, heaven responds with commissioning, with empowerment, with endorsement. You have been commissioned today. The test is complete. The assignment is next. Tell me in the comments which part of this message resonated most deeply with you. Your insights help shape the direction of future explorations, and the community we are building here is strengthened by every voice that contributes. There is a difference between waiting and wasting. Waiting is active. It is the farmer who, after planting, tends the soil, watches the sky, prepares the barn. Wasting is passive. It is the one who plants and then walks away, assuming outcomes will materialize without cultivation. You have been waiting, not wasting. You have been tending your inner soil. You have been pruning toxic patterns, watering seeds of hope, protecting tender shoots of vision from the frost of cynicism. You have been stewarding the season of hiddenness with the same diligence you will steward the season of harvest. That stewardship is what separates the mature from the immature, the faithful from the fickle, the chosen from the casual. You are not casual about your calling. You are not reckless with your assignment. You are not indifferent to your destiny. And that intentionality, that holy seriousness, is what the divine honors above all else. The transition from hiddenness to visibility is delicate. It requires wisdom. Many have reached the threshold of breakthrough only to sabotage it through impatience, pride, or mismanagement. The divine does not release increase to those who are not prepared to steward it. But you have been prepared. The silence was your seminary. The struggle was your training ground. The obscurity was your finishing school. You graduated today, not because the difficulty ended, but because your capacity expanded. You are no longer the person you were when the test began. You have been refined, strengthened, deepened, stretched. The version of you that started this journey could not have carried what the current version of you is about to receive. But the current version is ready. Heaven confirmed it. October 21st is the day the confirmation was sealed. The concept of spiritual testing is often misunderstood. It is not about earning approval. It is about revealing readiness. A pilot does not fly a commercial aircraft on the first day of training. They spend hours in simulators, practicing emergency scenarios, learning to stay calm under pressure, developing muscle memory for critical decisions. Only after rigorous testing are they entrusted with the lives of passengers. The divine operates with similar wisdom. The tests you face are not punitive. They are preparatory. They are designed to reveal whether you can handle the weight of your calling, whether you can steward the platform that is coming, whether you can remain humble in increase, generous in abundance, anchored in success. You passed, not because you were perfect, but because you were persistent. Not because you had all the answers, but because you trusted the one who does. Not because you felt strong, but because you leaned into a strength beyond your own. Ancient wisdom traditions speak of the refiner's fire, the process by which precious metals are purified. The metal is heated to extreme temperatures, causing impurities to rise to the surface where they can be skimmed away. The refiner knows the process is complete, not by the clock, but by the reflection. When the refiner can see their own face clearly in the molten metal, the purification is finished. You have been in the fire. The heat has been intense, but the refiner has been watching. And today, for the first time, the reflection was clear. The divine looked into your life and saw a mirror of faithfulness, a reflection of trust, an image unmarred by bitterness or compromise. The fire did its work. The impurities were removed. What remains is pure, strong, ready. History is filled with examples of those who were tested before they were trusted. Joseph spent years in prison before he governed Egypt. Moses spent decades in the wilderness before he led the Exodus. David was anointed king as a boy, but did not wear the crown until he was a man. And the years between the anointing and the coronation were marked by caves, exile, and betrayal. But those years were not wasted. They were the crucible in which character was forged, in which dependence on the divine deepened, in which leadership was learned not from books, but from hardship. You are in good company. The path you are walking is not a deviation from destiny. It is the road to it. And today, you reached a landmark on that road. The test is behind you. The throne is ahead. The narrative of faithfulness is not linear. It does not follow a predictable arc of steady progress. It is filled with setbacks, delays, detours, and moments of disorientation. But those irregularities are not evidence of failure. They are evidence of authenticity. A life scripted for appearance would be smooth, polished, curated. A life lived for substance is messy, raw, real. You have not been living for optics. You have been living for depth. You have not been performing for an audience. You have been walking in integrity, even when integrity cost you opportunities, relationships, or recognition. That kind of faithfulness is rare. It is precious. And it is the kind that moves heaven. One of the most difficult aspects of spiritual maturity is learning to distinguish between the voice of the divine and the voice of fear. Fear masquerades as wisdom. It says, be careful, protect yourself, do not risk too much. Fear sounds reasonable, cautious, prudent, but fear is also the voice that keeps you small, that prevents you from stepping into the fullness of your calling, that convinces you to settle for safety over significance. The voice of the divine, on the other hand, often sounds reckless. It asks you to give what you cannot afford, to go where you have not been, to trust what you cannot see. It calls you beyond your capacity, beyond your comfort, beyond your control. Learning to discern between these voices is the work of a lifetime. But today, you proved that you can hear the difference. You responded to the divine, not to fear. You obeyed the call, not the caution. And that obedience is why you are standing where you are right now, on the threshold of breakthrough. The divine economy operates on principles that defy conventional logic. In the world, you must have in order to give. In the kingdom, you must give in order to have. In the world, you must climb over others to rise. In the kingdom, you must serve others to lead. In the world, you must protect what you possess. In the kingdom, you must release what you possess in order to steward more. These inversions are not arbitrary. They are the structure of a reality where love, not power, is the ultimate currency, where trust, not control, is the ultimate strength, where surrender, not striving, is the ultimate strategy. You have been learning this new language. You have been adapting to this upside-down economy. And today, the fluency you have been developing reached a tipping point. You are no longer a student of the kingdom. You are a citizen. You are no longer learning the principles. You are living them. October 21st will be remembered not as the day you received the promise, but as the day you became the promise. The transformation that heaven values most is not external. It is internal. It is the shift from performing for approval to resting in identity, from striving for worthiness to receiving it as gift, from chasing after the divine to realizing the divine has been with you all along. That shift is the true miracle. The external blessings that follow are simply the overflow of the internal reality. You are no longer trying to prove yourself. You are no longer begging for validation. You are no longer hustling for favor. You are standing in the secure knowledge that you are seen, known, loved, and chosen. That knowledge is the foundation on which everything else will be built. And today, the foundation was laid with permanence. There is a particular grace that attends those who have walked through fire and emerged without the smell of smoke. It is the grace of credibility. When someone speaks from theory, their words carry information. When someone speaks from experience, their words carry weight. You have experience now. You have scars that testify to battles fought, wounds that have healed into wisdom, losses that have transformed into lessons. Your voice will carry authority not because you claim it, but because you earned it. You earned it in the silence, in the struggle, in the surrender. You earned it by staying when leaving would have been easier, by trusting when doubting would have been justified, by giving when withholding would have been understandable. The testimony you carry is not about what the divine did for you in a moment. It is about who the divine formed in you over time. And that testimony is what the world needs to hear. The concept of generational impact is often underestimated. We think in terms of our own lives, our own goals, our own timelines. But the divine thinks in terms of lineages. The choices you make today do not only affect your future, they affect the future of those who come after you. Every act of faithfulness becomes a bridge your children and grandchildren will cross. Every pattern you break is a chain they will not have to carry. Every blessing you steward is a resource they will inherit. You are not just building a life, you are building a legacy. And today, on October 21st, the trajectory of that legacy shifted. The generations that follow you will benefit from the stand you took, from the trust you extended, from the yes you spoke. They will walk paths you cleared, inhabit promises you secured, and experience freedoms you purchased with your faithfulness. The final movement of this day is not action, but reception. You have sown, you have trusted, you have surrendered. Now it is time to receive, not with grasping hands, but with open palms. Not with anxiety, but with expectation. Not with doubt, but with quiet confidence. The harvest is not something you have to force or manipulate. It is something you have already earned through faithfulness, and it will come in the right season, in the right measure, in the right form. Your role now is to remain postured for increase, to refuse the temptation to retreat into fear or cynicism, to guard your heart from bitterness or impatience, to continue walking in the same faithfulness that brought you to this threshold. The promise is not that everything will be easy from here. The promise is that you will not walk alone. The divine who saw your faithfulness today will continue to see, to guide, to provide, to sustain. And that presence is more than enough. Let us close with a prayer of alignment. Not a prayer of begging, but a prayer of recognition. Not a prayer of desperation, but a prayer of declaration. Divine presence, you who see every hidden tear, every silent offering, every whispered trust, we honor you today. We acknowledge that our faithfulness is only possible because of your faithfulness, that our strength is only sustained because of your grace, that our yes is only possible because you first said yes to us. We receive today as a marker, a milestone, a moment of divine confirmation. We will carry this day forward as a reminder that we are not forgotten, not overlooked, not abandoned. We are seen, we are known, we are loved, and we are called for such a time as this. We commit to stewarding the increase that is coming with the same integrity that brought us through the test. We commit to remaining humble in blessing, generous in abundance, and anchored in purpose. May our lives become living testimonies of your faithfulness, and may the legacy we build serve not only our generation, but the generations to come. We stand in readiness, in gratitude, in trust. Amen. If this message met you where you are, take a moment to reflect on what is stirring in your spirit. What is being invited into greater light? What is ready to be released? What small, faithful step is yours to take today? The divine does not ask for a perfect response. The divine asks for an honest one, and your honesty, your willingness to remain open, your capacity to keep saying yes, these are the seeds from which miracles grow. October 21st is the day your faithfulness was seen. But every day that follows is an opportunity to live in the light of that seeing, to walk in the confidence of that confirmation, to act from the certainty that you are not alone, that you are not abandoned, that you are exactly where you are meant to be. The journey continues, the story unfolds, and the best chapters are still ahead. Stay faithful, stay anchored, stay open. What is coming is worth every moment you have invested, every tear you have sown, every prayer you have whispered. Your commitment has been proven. Now watch as the divine responds. The threshold you cross today is irreversible. There is no returning to who you were before October 21st, no unseeing what heaven revealed, no unknowing what your spirit now understands. You have been marked by faithfulness, and that mark is permanent. It will guide you through seasons yet to come, remind you in moments of doubt, anchor you when storms rise again. This is not the end of testing, but it is the end of questioning whether you belong in the arena of the called. You belong. Your place is secure. Your assignment is clear, and the resources, relationships, and revelations required for the next phase are already in motion, converging toward you with divine precision. Walk forward with the assurance that what was confirmed in heaven today will manifest on earth tomorrow. The journey continues, but you are no longer walking as one who hopes to be chosen. You are walking as one who knows, beyond all doubt, that the choice has already been made. You are faithful, you are committed, you are ready, and heaven is responding.